Each year, in the grasslands of Africa, one of nature's greatest spectacles unfolds: the Great Wildebeest Migration. Annually, vast herds of wildebeest leave the dry, barren plains in search of grass and water, essential elements for their survival in another land, and then return to their starting point, following a timeless law of nature. The journey they undertake covers a distance of about 2,000 miles, approximately 3,200 kilometers, marked by the birth of around 250,000 calves and the deaths of many others along the arduous trek. The wildebeest face countless mortal dangers, yet nothing can alter their course, and these migrations have been occurring for thousands of years. Right on the equator that cuts across Africa, vast grasslands covering an area of about 10,000 square miles, 26,000 square kilometres, adjacent to Lake Victoria, are the home of the wildebeest. Today this land appears peaceful, but it was born from a furious past. To the north and south, its boundaries are volcanic cliffs, remnants of ancient volcanoes that once erupted to create the lush, flat grasslands below, a place often called the Garden of Eden, for herbivores named the Serengeti. Today, one active volcano remains in this region, Aldoinho Lengai, which occasionally spews a little ash as a gentle reminder of the cataclysmic destruction that forged these plains. The Serengeti is the starting point for the wildebeest migration. They move west towards Lake Victoria, then turn north before returning to the Serengeti. The wildebeest is a peculiar creature in appearance, seemingly an assembly of parts from various other animals. It looks like a hilarious comedian on stage. They are incredibly graceful, yet unpretentious creatures, earning them the nickname the clowns of the grasslands. May signals to the wildebeest that their busy migration is about to begin. The end of the rainy season marks the start of their breeding season, and thus the males are constantly testing their speed and challenging each other on the plains. The males must fight with all their might to hold a territory that contains females waiting to mate. A male marks his boundary by rubbing his horns against clumps of grass, a warning to other males. Typically, these fights are not overly intense, as they sometimes need to pause to watch for large predators like leopards or lions. By June, the chaotic herds begin to organise into distinct groups with loose boundaries. Each group consists of many females under the command of a single male. To win this leadership position, the male must constantly prove himself in uncompromising battles. All of this serves one purpose: to ensure that the calves born next year are sired by the fittest fathers. For 6 months, the wildebeest must store fat for the upcoming migration, for the fights, and for mating when the females are ready. Wildebeest are prey for leopards and lions, but their sheer numbers mean that this predation does not threaten their existence. Instead, it helps to cull the weak individuals from the herd. Under the harsh African sun, the grass begins to wither and water sources dry up. These slaves to grass and water must seek another place to the north. As they set off, the wildebeest are rather disorganized, moving towards the edge of the plains. They start slowly, as there is still something to eat and a few waterholes to drink from, before they vanish with the dry season. Under the summer sun, as the ground begins to crack, more than 1 million animals retreat from the Serengeti to begin their true journey north, kicking up clouds of dust that billow across the grasslands. The wildebeest travel mile after mile, crossing through scrub forests. In the north, rainfall is more abundant and the grasslands are greener. Upon finding a suitable area, the herds pause, marking new territories before continuing their journey. During this time, among the more than 300,000 female wildebeest, 90% are pregnant. All the hooved animals of Africa can coexist without interfering with each other's lives because their needs differ. Giraffes stretch their long necks to munch on high leaves, ignoring the sharp thorns. Buffaloes eat dense tufts of grass. Gazelles prefer to nibble on short grasses, and zebras tear at tough stems with their strong teeth. The wildebeest, due to their immense numbers, do not have many choices. They eat everything. Consequently, they're forced to constantly move forward, leaving behind bare, exposed earth. For lions, predators in distinct territories that can span up to 150 square miles, 390 square kilometers, a land traditionally belonging to the females but guarded by males, life is comfortable as long as the herbivores remain. But when the grazers leave, the lion's food source vanishes, which is a death sentence for the lion cubs. In fact, about 50% of lion cubs die of starvation during this period. Bound to their territories, the lions can only watch with regret as the thundering herds of wildebeest pass by and disappear from sight. By July, the wildebeest have reached the western edge of the Serengeti. They approach the shores of lakes and rivers that are receding daily. Every 2 or 3 days, the wildebeest must drink from the riverbanks, and crocodiles seize this opportunity to snatch a few. The struggle between fear and thirst ends with the victory of burning thirst. The pushing and shoving from the massive crowd behind forces some at the front into the water and into the crocodile's ambush. A crocodile's teeth are effective for clamping down, but they cannot chew, so they tear their prey apart and swallow it whole. However, this is a small price to pay for the survival of the rest. The wildebeest migration also provides a feast for pelicans. As the dense herds cross through shallow waters, they churn up the mud, causing fish to suffocate and rise to the surface, becoming easy prey for the pelicans. Herd after herd, the wildebeest advance northward, leaving a clear mark on the land wherever they pass. It seems that, on their migratory path, all other animals are drawn into the patterns they create. In August, dry riverbeds are filled by mountain storms, flowing torrentially and blocking the wildebeest's path. Although they are excellent swimmers, the powerful current sweeps them away in droves. Other old and weak individuals, along with the young, get trapped in the mud along the riverbanks, never to emerge again. The majority of the herd makes it to the other side. Only a few do not. The scene of the crossing resembles a brutal massacre. But in a migration of over 1 million wildebeest, and with so many calves to be born, the losses are insignificant. It is a small number to be left behind for the fish and vultures, to pick clean to the bone. In September, the grass on the plains turns yellow and withers under the summer sun, and then it burns. This is the time when the Serengeti is shrouded in smoke and fire. Not a year goes by without the grass burning. Although the fires do not harm the wildebeest directly, the grass they need becomes scarce, and the smoke is like night, falling in the middle of the day. For the wildebeest, the fertile plains are now nothing more than a tasteless bowl of dirt. Due to the hardships of the dry season, the herds face difficulties and have no choice but to press on. Over 1 million wildebeest continue their journey, leaving clear tracks on the scorched grasslands. They can travel as far as the Mara River and the steep slopes that form the northern boundary of the Serengeti, still 200 miles, 320 kilometers from their destination. They have moved swiftly across thousands of winding miles to reach the land they hope will have fresh grass. As they travel, vultures follow, silently observing and waiting. Vultures often nest on cliffs, and when the hot air rises in the early morning, they take flight, circling over the herds for most of the day. A single vulture might cover a round trip of 185 miles, 300 kilometers. When a wildebeest collapses on the trail, it becomes a feast for vultures and other scavengers. Even after the vultures have finished their meal, another creature enjoys the carcass, the horn moth, a relative of the clothes moth, which lays its eggs inside the horns. And within the dark confines of the horn, a life cycle unfolds. The eggs hatch into larvae, which burrow deep into the horn, consuming the remaining nutrients, and then metamorphose into moths. Thus, from a bare horn, new life emerges. But this is what happens to the carcasses left behind. The herd itself is already hundreds of miles ahead. In the north, the wildebeest find more abundant food, but they also face new predators. Resting wildebeest often fall prey to the hunting skills of leopards. A leopard can kill many wildebeest at once, disemboweling them and then dragging the kill up a tall tree to eat gradually. In October, the rains finally arrive, reviving the land and bringing hope to the wildebeest and many other animals. To the south, the grasslands begin to turn green again, signalling the right time for the herds to return. At this point, the north receives too much rain, causing many areas to flood. The wildebeest cannot linger as they risk contracting hoof rot. On their return journey, they do not travel in a single massive herd as they did on their departure, but spread out in long lines covering the ground. After covering such a long distance, their pace slows, and they take the opportunity to regain the weight lost during the long, dry season. One of the common diseases during the wildebeest migration is a spinning sickness, caused by botflies laying larvae in their nostrils. Normally, these larvae are expelled with a powerful snort, but sometimes one crawls up into the brain, disrupting the victim's balance. The unfortunate wildebeest will then spin in circles until it dies of exhaustion. When an animal is sick, its unusual behavior attracts the attention of keen predators, like hyenas or wild dogs, which will usually end the victim's life before it collapses from the disease. However, alongside the wildebeest that fall on the return journey are the newborns. Born and raised in a land full of lurking enemies, the calves have only a few minutes to stand up and learn to run. After 5 minutes, a calf can stand, and within about 15 minutes, it can run as fast as its mother. In a single year, more than 250,000 wildebeest are born this way, with a long journey still ahead of them. Like the adults, the young also face many dangers on their way back. On the way home, the herds must cross wide lakes where unexpected things happen. At the lake's edge, the sheer density of the herd creates unprecedented chaos, leading to many calves being separated from their mothers. Mothers who realise their calf is not keeping up will turn back to find them, and these lost back and forth swims happen continuously. Calves search for mothers, mothers search for calves, and they swim past each other somewhere in the middle of the lake. During the crossing, those who are already weak become weaker and sink to the bottom. It is a wasteful pilgrimage that perhaps only wildebeest or reindeer could undertake. During one lake crossing, as many as 1,500 calves die in the shallow waters, and others scatter through the bushes, becoming prey for carnivores. But this is the law of nature. For if a certain number of wildebeest did not perish during the migration, their sheer numbers would overwhelm the grasslands. The carcasses of the wildebeest that die in the lake become abundant food and a rich habitat for flamingos and fish. Finally, the wildebeest herds return to their starting point in April, and before long, a new daring procession will begin again. But for now, the animals live in peace on the lush green plains of the Serengeti. Intact fossils have confirmed that wildebeest have existed for over 2 million years and have ceaselessly made these migrations north. In all that time, the wildebeest has not changed, nor has it needed to. For them, strength is in numbers, and the death of some individuals to predators, disease or natural disasters is a necessary purification for the species. Year after year, the migration continues, bringing great success to the wildebeest. And so, the clowns of the grasslands have galloped through 2 million years of history.